and welcome to podcast number 2 for Outside the Comfort Zone. I am the creator of Outside the Comfort Zone. I interview different coaches in the world of personal and life coaching and get their perspective on coaching, life, and what is outside of their comfort zones. I am thrilled to be accompanied by a duo here today, Tanner Holtman and Michelle Cummings. A little bit about them. Tanner focuses on working and coaching men to be badass motherfuckers. For him, these men are transforming themselves into the ultimate version. They become the transformed, elevated men, fathers, colleagues, husbands, entrepreneurs, and leaders that they have always wanted to become. At only 28 years old, he is coaching elite, high-performance athletes, business owners, and authors. After starting his own company at 19, his drive for entrepreneurship was unquestionable. He is more interested in breaking chains than comparing them. Michelle focuses on working with divine women who are altruistic, ambitious, and beautifully wild. She grew up in a small town in New Zealand after moving from Canada and later traveled to London, England, where she created a wake in her path for helping others. Those that connected her were passionate about inspiring and elevating the people surrounding them. They wanted to design a life for themselves that would powerfully serve them so they could powerfully serve too. From million-dollar business owners, Olympic athletes, government workers, and writers, Michelle has had the opportunity to coach people that she never dreamed imaginable. These two are on a journey to change the world, one conversation at a time. Thanks, guys, for coming today.
Awesome. Thank you for having us.
Today, first question, what's your story and how did you become a coach?
Yeah, our story, well, where we met you and where Tanner and I met was a workshop for the introduction to a coach's training program, accomplishment coaching. We met there. There was something about our vision that we wanted to create in the world. Tanner focuses on working with men, and he's really powerful and has a massive vision about what he wants to create for men going forward. And my purpose and my passion is to work with women. And when our ideas kind of aligned, we thought that we would make a great team. And that was on a Saturday afternoon. And at 6:30 a.m. on the Monday morning, we created our business in the back of a coffee shop on a napkin. Yeah.
You actually had the story of creating a business on the back of a napkin. That is crazy.
That's right. That's right.
And how about you, Tanner? What's your story? How did you come to be a coach?
Before the workshop, I was traveling down this path of personal development, as Michelle said, around men. And for me, the way that started was I was trying to find out what it actually meant to be a man. It sounds a bit silly, but I had this preconceived notion that in order to be a real man, you needed to be about 6'4", anywhere north of 250 pounds of pure muscle. You had to have a giant beard, maybe plaid shirts where you would swing an axe, like the burly Canadian lumberjack was what it meant to be a man. So I would look at myself and go, well, shit, because that is physically impossible for me to, 1, be that big, and 2, grow a beard. So I started trying to find, if that's not going to be it, and it's nothing physical, then what is it? And started going down this personal development for men space. And that was when I got connected with a good friend of mine who's quite a successful coach as well. And he introduced me to the workshop. And that was, again, where we met we all met. And yeah, it was just a couple of days after that Michelle and I met, and the rest is napkin history.
Cool. And so when you guys are working together, what's it like working together as a duo?
What is it like, Tanner? Tanner loves working. It's been good. I think that, and it's probably something that as we're learning, as we go through our training course for coaching and as we work with clients, it's a support thing, right? Like being able to ask for support, having somebody to sort of step up and support us. And I think the biggest benefit for our company is we have that automatically. we're in the process of creating clients and creating networks and associations where we can be really successful so that we can start to create the impact that we want to create. And I think the best thing about Tanner and I's joint venture is that we get to support each other. If things get really hard, if things are going really good, we actually have each other to pull ourselves back in line, to support and motivate. And man, is it fun.
That sounds like a really cool dance that you guys do together a little bit, when one's down, the other one's up, and the other one's down, the other one's up, and then you're fighting, or you've got the same goal in mind. So that'd be kind of neat to be able to work like that with another person. What kind of people do you work with? What is the change you're making in the world? Or another word to say that, what's your vision for the planet?
Well, I think that intro sounded awesome, by the way. It's always interesting hearing about yourself like that. But that gives you a pretty good example of some of the people that we're working with. A lot of them really, the roles are there, but they're all high achievers. Luckily, working together, we can focus really on anybody that's looking to really make an impact. A lot of them have hit a level of success and are looking to get out of their own way so they can really continue to make this impact. Yeah, and what it is we want to create in the planet, this is actually something that we've talked about quite a bit, especially in the beginning, is a lot of it is based around equality. And Michelle has a perfect way of saying it and loves it, so I'll let her explain it.
Yeah, it was funny. Our business was actually built on a typo, which is hilarious. We've called ourselves Divinus Creatura, which is Latin for divine creature. Now, to begin with, I thought that it was divine creation. And it's funny because our company is an organism for creating a divine creation of unparalleled perfection. And for us, unparalleled perfection is anything for anyone, anywhere. Our business is really focusing on creating the impact around those that we're coaching so that they can create an impact that they can see will benefit the world. And our impossible goal is being able to provide any job, literally anything, for anyone, anywhere on the planet. And we're really passionate about creating that one step at a time.
Wow, that's an amazing, like that just gave me chills when I heard about that, the passion that's there, right? The impossible goal, any job, say it again, any job.
Well, it's anything for anyone, anywhere. Well, even an easy way to look at it is thinking of, look at the way that culture is set up amongst the world. Would a young girl in the middle of the Middle East be able to put her hand up and say, I want to be a doctor and go out and achieve it the way that the world is right now? It's really looking at social dynamics and the way that the world is at the moment and saying, imagine what it would be like if you could create anything, anyone could have anything, anywhere in the world.
Yeah, that sounds so empowering. It's like you're out to empower every single person out there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing. What are the breakthroughs that your clients see when working with you guys?
One of the things that come up all the time is, because we do work with some high achievers and some successful individuals, is what has gotten them to where they are now, whether it's the self-talk, the stories that they carry around with themselves, ideas of their self-image, everything is exactly what's been holding them back from getting to the next level. And we don't necessarily mean that in a negative sense, because they've already reached levels of success. All of these things that have gotten to them to where they are has actually been amazing. But in order to break free and move forward, it's using that now as a resource rather than a weight.
Yeah, and Tanner says it all the time when we're talking about, or when we're talking to potential clients and when we're running workshops. It's like, what has gotten you to where you are right now is exactly what's holding you back from hitting the next level of success. So whether it's like you've been telling yourself, right, I've got to work hard, I've got to work hard, I've got to work hard. You've been telling yourself a particular story to get you to success level A. right? Success is relative, whatever it is that it might look like for you. And then whatever got you to there really needs to now be transformed, and you need to recreate something different to get you to the next level.
And so you're working with your clients to help kind of recreate that different vision or goal or whatever it is that's stuck in the way for them.
Yeah, exactly right.
Wow, that's really motivating. And again, that empowering word keeps coming up for me, for you guys. What do you want to speak to that you think is important to know about transformation?
Wow. It's transformation itself is once and for all, right? It's not a quick fix. It's not something that happens overnight. It's work. It's the deep inner work that you need to do as a human, as a person in your relationship, as a person in your job or your business, in order to create something brand new, something that you may never have imagined before, a way of being that you never thought that you could be. And it's work, right? It's not something that will happen at a click of a finger. It's support for me. It's community. It's having somebody that's truly going to, and I'm completely stealing Tanner's line here, but he always says to his clients and people that we get to work with, it's like, we are going to stand in the middle of the impossible for you and call you forward.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, it really, and Michelle said it great with, there's two areas of transformation that pop out for me. And one is that it's an inside job. And it's that deep inner work that you have to do in order to achieve some level of true transformation. The other piece of that is where this stuff is found, where these insights and awarenesses that allow for this transformation is found, is generally in your blind spots. It's something that you aren't used to seeing or have ever seen before, which is probably why you haven't made that transformation before. Mm-hmm. And finding these pieces out and coming to these new insights, yes, it is something that you can do completely on your own, but I'll tell you from experience, it's a lot faster if you have support. Mm-hmm. So when you have somebody else that can stand off the court, so picture yourself playing squash, and you're in the glass court, and you're hitting the ball and hitting the ball and hitting the ball. Somebody else in there can see some of the things that you need to work on. But when you have somebody outside of the court looking in, they can see the whole thing. So it's easier to spot these pieces out, to provide these new insights and awarenesses, so you can start making this transformation. Mm-hmm. So I guess going back, it's inside job, and it's faster with support.
With blind spots, do you find that people... that there's resistance when you point out people's blind spots, or is there like, oh, aha moments? Like what is it like for you or for the person that you're coaching when they find out what their blind spot is?
I think there's both of those for sure. I mean, I guess it depends what you're poking at in those spots. I mean, speaking from experience and working with my coach, I've had it happen on both, where something comes up, and especially if you're really passionate about it and it's positively moving you forward, it's like, yeah, finally, I'm so happy. I never even thought about that stuff before. But if you're poking around in a spot that's been holding you back for something that you wanted so bad, and it has to do with something that you've been carrying around that you didn't know was holding you back, sometimes it sucks. And so to answer it, yes, both of those things.
Yeah, I can see that. I work with a coach as well, and I think I'm hanging out in the latter right now myself. Michelle, you spoke about you stand in the middle of the impossible and you call your clients forward. Can you talk a little bit more about like what happens in that?
Yeah, for sure. So when we're working with a client, right, they tell us about their biggest dreams, right? They open their chest up and they're being 100% vulnerable, and they say, right, I want to end child hunger, or I want to stop poverty in my city, or I want to create a space for mothers who have lost their children. And we hear about these amazing things that they want to create, and we can see that it's possible for them, right? We can see things in themselves, their gold, right, as a human being on this planet, and we know that they can achieve it. We see it, we see their possibility, and we know that they can achieve it. So as we stand in their possible and their impossible, we start to notice the things that come up. So whether they're stories about themselves as to why they're not good enough, why they don't have enough resources, why they can't, or why they shouldn't, we really notice a transformation in the way that they begin to regard themselves, right? And I think that that's probably the first thing that we start to work with when we're working with clients, is getting them to actually see how great and powerful they are. And like what you and Tanner were discussing earlier about what comes up for them, and whether they are like completely resistant to seeing that possibility or seeing how great they are, or whether they're completely on board and they're like, right, let's get on top of this. I'm ready to get forward and I'm ready to go. So I really notice sort of both things with that as well. But the best thing about being a coach is that you can see exactly what it is that that person wants to create. And as coach, you know that that's 100% possible. It's the process getting them to realize their own greatness that is the most heartbreaking and the most beautiful experience.
I can see why you like being a coach so much. It's like you're transforming people's lives and the gold that's right there for them. Based on the fact, that this podcast is called Outside of the Comfort Zone, we're all about talking about what's outside of people's comfort zones. So if you were to share something that is really outside of each of your comfort zones, that you wouldn't normally share, that you might even be scared to share, what would that be?
Well, for me, this is definitely one of them, right? Coming onto a podcast with two incredibly powerful and brilliant people and talking about something that I'm really passionate about, a position, a job, a career that's relatively new. I've been doing this unprofessionally for what feels like my entire life, but being able to stand up and say, I am a life coach, man, there is some serious jumping outside of the comfort zone just in that, right?
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thanks for sharing that. How about you, Tanner? And you can't say the same answer.
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of it is we have these big visions of truly creating ripple effects that can change the world. And I believe so passionately that I can be the one to do it. Yet, I guess where the comfort zone, what's outside of my comfort zone is truly believing it at certain times. I get the little demons that come in and I question, am I the one that can make these changes? Am I the one that can truly make this type of difference that can positively impact the entire planet? Because it's not a small task. So the looking big picture occasionally gets me outside of my comfort zone. I am pumped that I get to work with Michelle, because she's one of the first people to reel me back in and say, hey, turn around and look what we've already done. And working with a group of amazing coaches, yourself included, Robin.
Thank you.
Being around those type of powerful, badass people also helps me realize that. And honestly, working with my coach as well really brings me back in. But taking on that whale is definitely outside of it, but exciting all at the same time.
That's kind of what the comfort zone is. It's like this excitement, yet nervousness, yet holy shit, what the hell kind of feelings, right? Where do you guys think you're going next for outside your comfort zone? Because some people say that growth is outside the comfort zone. So where do we're always about constant growth as coaches. Where do you see that for each of yourselves?
For me, it's probably getting more into like the public speaking side of things now. I'm part of an amazing organization that's creating a conference for women. It's going to be based in Victoria. It's going to be scheduled for May of next year, and really stepping into the public speaking side of things in front of hundreds to thousands of different people and sharing my experience on transformation, noticing your greatness, being able to harness it, and knowing that where you're going is exactly where you want to be. That's definitely the next thing for me.
Cool. How about you, Tanner?
Well, to be honest, I am right in the thick of outside of the comfort zone at the moment, because for the first time I started my first company when I was 19, as you mentioned, went through the financial services industry for a while, and just recently jumped into full-time into this business. So it's that, as excited as I am to do it, is also jumping into full-time business is always a little bit exciting and scary, all wrapped into one. So I would say as of right now, I'm a little bit outside of the comfort zone.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. I mean, that's where the growth happens, right? It's living right there in that, well, out there.
Yeah.
So,
that's right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Any last things you'd like to say before we wrap it up?
Yeah, probably from me, the biggest thing for the people that listen to this, for your following and your clients, I just would love to acknowledge everybody who's taking the chance or the moment to actually look into coaching. And this comes from a woman that I was speaking to earlier today, and we were talking about the possibility of her life. And all of a sudden there was a stop, and she just said to me, Michelle, look, I actually can't look at this anymore, and I need a minute. Right? Because when you start to notice the things that you truly want to create in your life and create in the world, the moment that you realize it's possible, all of a sudden you're like, fuck, responsibility comes in, responsibility for your own life, for your own work. And I just really want to let everybody know who's listening to this is that you're already on the right track, and just give yourself a little bit of compassion and a little bit of time to get to where it is that you want to go, because you can do it.
Cool.
Yeah, I would think on that note as well, and to build on that, I think it's important to distinguish between practice and performance. And this is something that we've all been through, and it's just an exciting piece to notice when you have to show up and perform. It's tough to do that without the practice. So identifying these areas that you really want to move forward, that you're totally capable of, like Michelle was talking about, it's totally fine to go out and just practice it. And it's the repetition of just going for it with no expectation of being the best, where you'll build into really living up to that. So practice, just practice.
Practice, practice, practice. Practice makes perfect. Or just
Perfect is subjective.
Well, hey guys, I just really want to acknowledge you both today for coming and putting your hand up and saying, yeah, fuck yeah, I want to be a part of this podcast. I'm honored to be here with you both and doing this with you. A little bit jealous. I'd love to be a part of your guys' team. And I also want to acknowledge you both for the vulnerability that you've shared today for this podcast, the excitement that you've brought to it. Your authenticity is just so opening and like there's just this freeing in it for me, how authentic you are, and also the courage to share all of that as well in this open forum. And so where would people go to find out more about you both?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Robin. That was, I was kind of taken back a little bit. I wasn't expecting such a powerful acknowledgement. Thank you. Thank you. I was just kind of taking a few seconds to receive it. Thank you. So we actually don't have a Facebook page, which is the craziest thing. We're not really going there yet. We have a website, divinuscreatura.com. It's spelled DivinusCreatura.com. You can get us on our website, and you can also get both of us individually on Facebook. Michelle Cumming, Tanner Holtman, Instagram too. We're getting some Instagram pictures up there and inspiring some people through visual media.
Right on. Cool. Okay. Well, again, I'd like to extend a big thank you to you both for playing with me today on my podcast. And so that's a wrap for podcast number 2 for Outside the Comfort Zone. Also be sure to visit onfocuscoaching.ca to check out all of my goodies that are over there. And remember, it's your life, it's your possibility. Let's create. Have an awesome day.